So Wausau is white for harvest. Stevens Point, white for harvest. Merrill is white for harvest. And that's why we're planting a church there. I want to see a revival in north central Wisconsin. I want to see a revival in this western part of the world. I don't know if you guys understand what is happening across the globe right now. In early 2018, I began reading this book called Movements That Changed the World, and I was wrestling with my discontents about the American church as I was doing ministry in the American church. It, by God's providence, was also the time that Pastor Charlie approached me and started talking to me about church planting as well. And I read this in this book. I read about the findings of historian Philip Jenkins, and he recorded that since the beginning of the 20th century, the center of gravity in the Christian world has shifted southward to Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Those are the three regions in which the largest and fastest growing Christian communities on the planet are found. And if these trends are to continue, by 2050, only about 1/5 of the world's 3 billion Christians will be non-Hispanic whites. While Northern Hemisphere Christianity is in decline, a new era of Southern Christianity has dawned. I saw this for myself after reading this passage. I went on a mission trip for the second year in a row to the Dominican Republic, and I noticed how the gospel was spreading like wildfire there, and I got to be a part of it. And I remember sitting in a church that was a church plant there and thinking to myself, crying, weeping, and expressing to one of my other team members that I didn't want to come back. And it wasn't about an emotional high because we were on a mission trip and I was at this Mountaintop Experience. It was about, I want my heart to be where God is moving. And has God forsaken the United States of America? Is it possible that he's just working here in Africa, Asia, and Latin America? And it's in that moment that I realized that if God's not calling me to the Dominican Republic, if he's not calling me to one of these other continents, he's calling me to be a missionary in North America. I was on a mission trip learning about how to be a missionary back in North America. That every day of my life, I'd be on missions here in north central Wisconsin. I'm pleased that the gospel is going to the southern parts. I'm ecstatic about that because the gospel needs to go to all the world. And it needs to go to all the world, I believe, before Christ is going to return. And we have much work to do. I believe there's 5,000 or 6,000 unreached people groups still out there that need the gospel, meaning have not heard the gospel message, do not have the resources, do not have a Bible, do not have somebody preaching to them. And how will they respond if they have not heard? It says in Romans. But I want a revival here in North America as well. And for us that are here, it's what we're called to bring that revival here to North America. So where do we start? Where do we start? I think with in every obedience to God's will, it starts with prayer. We need to be a prayerful people. It says in Matthew 9:37-38 that we pray that to the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into the harvest. Okay? We pray, and then we go and we be an answer to that prayer. Matthew 9:37-38, Jesus instructs his disciples to pray that the Lord would send forth laborers into the harvest. You know what happens in Matthew chapter 10? They are the laborers. He sends them out in pairs immediately to go and share the gospel message. This isn't just a verse about, God, I pray that you would rise up missionaries. We need more people that are unlike me that can go and share the gospel. He wants you to be a part of that work. I'm not denying that there is a special need and a special gifting for missionary work, both abroad and here. But every single one of you has been called to missions. We are a missional people. God has a missional church.